Welcome back, you guys. Today I figure I'd go ahead and make up my follow-up video over 5 things I hate about my Sportster S. Now, some of these were really obvious the moment I got the bike, and there's probably obvious for everybody who looks at the bike, and some of them are going to be kind of hidden away, or at least one of them I know is going to be hidden away that I think most people should pay attention to on their bike, because Harley didn't do a very good job on this part of it. But for my first thing I would have to add in here, I'm gonna have to go with the blinker and license plate combination we got going on back there. Everybody I've seen online talk about it will agree that it's ugly. If they had not had that there, it'd have been a lot nicer. I feel like there could have been a different way they could have had that set up, and it definitely would have added to the bike. Yeah, so like they didn't really need to add that ugly bar back there. They could have added even a side mounted plate would have made a lot more sense, but for some reason they went ahead and stuck that on there. And for number 2, I would have to say this one might be a little picky, but the fuel mileage on this bike. Now, I do drive the bike like a crazy person, so that could be a pretty big reason why it doesn't get good fuel mileage, per se. But I feel like it should do a little bit better. I honestly find myself filling up, if not before, right at the same times as I did with my last Sportster, which does make sense. I believe they both have the same size tank, so that's not too surprising. But I figured that this would have a little bit more fuel efficiency on it. The third thing I want to talk about here is going to be the seat. And not what you think, it's actually pretty comfortable. Man, I've been sitting at this light forever, dude. But back to what I was saying there. The seat at the very front of it, there's staples, and I haven't seen too many people talking about this, so I figured it'd definitely be notable in this video. Those staples will rub against your tank. Whenever I get off the bike, I'm gonna go ahead and add in a little clip. Alright, you guys, so there's the scratches in the paint I wanted to show you guys. And there's the tape and how I've got it set up to try to prevent that. Of this, actually, where it's at. And what I did is I just took some electrical tape and I've layered it up a couple times and laid it against the tank, because it will scratch your paint on those staples from where you sit on the bike, and it rubs the staple against the actual tank itself. And I thought that was pretty odd. Like, why would they add a staple like that right there if it's gonna rub against it? Surely Harley had to have known about that, but I guess not. So that is a pretty upsetting thing about it, honestly, because I have some scratches on the tank now. They're in a hidden spot, but I still didn't want scratches on this bike this early into having the bike, and it's kind of sad to find out that just sitting on the bike, not actually even doing anything wrong, is what has put those scratches there. The next thing I'd like to talk about is going to be the controls, like the foot controls on the bike. I do not understand for the life of me why Harley stuck forwards on this bike. It was intended to be a sportier bike from the get, so why forwards? You might as well have just stuck mids on this from the beginning. Mids is something that almost every person who I've heard ride the bike talk about. They should have just had mids on it, and I feel like they really missed out. They should have just added the option to have forwards, honestly, not in a, you know, a locked-in thing where you don't have a choice. Now that we're past all that, And my final thing I'd like to add in here, you know, the aftermarket right now, I think that has got to be the worst thing about it. Now, this will change with time, so that's why I went ahead and put it at the last thing, because you could argue it's a little bit nitpicky if you're buying a bike this early into its you know, production and everything like that. I mean, I guess not too early, but relatively for the research and development for all these other companies and shit, they definitely are early. So I think that one could be kind of negated, especially if you like the way the bike is just stock. And those right there, I'd have to honestly say, are going to be the only things I really find wrong with this bike. Everything else I really do like about this bike. If you ask me, I really feel like Harley scored it big with this one, and that when everybody starts actually getting their hands on one and they begin to be more talked about, I think this bike is going to blow up. But me personally, this bike has got almost everything I want out of it. It's fast, it's comfortable enough, it's alright on gas mileage. I can still get to a place, and it does make up for it in the fact that it has a gas gauge on it, and every bike that I've had before this does not have a gas gauge. It has a fuel light, so like you just kind of know whenever it's going to be, but not actually giving you any real information, you know. It's just like, hey, you're out of gas. And while that is mildly helpful, it's not like the end-all be-all. I do prefer being able to actually see, like, hey, I have half a tank, hey, I have 3/4 of a tank. And even if it's not 100% correct, even just having a close, rough amount of it is good enough for me. Well, you guys, thanks for following me along through another video. I'd like to see y'all come back again. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all in another one.